Now, as you know, the focus of our conference this year is on training, safety, and mental health, something that's not always easy to talk about. A few months ago, Sean appeared on the CBC's Current with Matt Galloway. I actually listened to the program, it was very good. Talk about mental health and the skilled trades and how far we've come and how much more work we have yet to do. One of the other people on the program that day was Matt Teter. Matt Teter is a former restoration mechanic who had a life-altering workplace accident. Matt fell 40 feet at work, broke his back in 2 places, his right ankle, just about every bone in his body, a few ribs. He spent about a year in a wheelchair before learning how to walk again. He was given the opportunity to return to work and be trained as a safety coordinator. And now he has been doing safety for 13 years, far longer than he worked on the tools. Matt and many others in the industry have not often shared his hidden mental health stresses that come with construction workplace industries, such as opioid use, dependency, path to recovery, and how the construction industry is adapting to the opioid crisis. It is my pleasure to welcome Matt and Sean to the stage today to continue that conversation.
Well, Matt, it's really good to see you, and welcome, and thank you very much for what's going to be a few minutes where we can learn about your story and learn about your experience, and that's very personal, and we very much appreciate your willingness to do that up front, so thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for allowing me the opportunity to talk about this topic. I actually kept it pretty much a secret from everybody. Nobody really knew about it until recently, until I decided to go on CBC for some strange reason and just share it with the world. But it is an important topic, and I think best approach is, the first step is always awareness, right? So I have a story I think it's important to share because it is an epidemic in our industry, and you know, based on what I saw today, everybody here is a leader in the industry, and I think we're taking the right approach to this.
Thanks, Matt. And so tell us, let's kind of take it from the beginning because it is quite a journey. What was the work? What was the job you were doing before your accident, and then what happened at the accident?
So it's a heritage restoration job. We were in the roof, in the attic.
Bring the mic a little closer. Yeah.
We were in the attic, and I fell basically through the roof. I landed on the altar, feet first, can't make this up. But yeah, very significant injuries. Woke up in the hospital, airlifted. First thing they told me was, you broke your back. And you know, first thing I did was swear, which I'm not gonna repeat, and then move my legs, make sure they worked. They did, thank God, and you know, pretty sure I passed out after that too. Many surgeries later, you know, long road to recovery. In the hospital, of course, I'm on morphine, and you know, talking to somebody that was there with me, they're like, you were pressing that nonstop all the time. I didn't even realize I was doing that. It only activates every so often, won't let you just constantly use it, but so there was that. Rehabilitation hospital after that. Again, painkillers. Drove them crazy. I'm like, listen, I can do all this crap at home. Just send me, I want out of here. I can recover at home. Send me home with Percocets, Oxycontin. And again, it's a huge difference in pain, with or without it. So the thing about them is they work, and they work really well, which is why everybody uses them for pain. So unfortunately, you know, what I think about it now is every one you take, you're gonna pay for it tenfold. And it's not gonna take long.
So Matt, the injury, it was a piece of plywood over a vent in the attic. That's what happened? You stepped on that?
Yeah, so it was like a church Cathedral, back in the day, they didn't have AC, obviously, so they had this negative positive air ventilation system that was covered up over time. Stepped on it, ground.
Stepped on it, you had your horrific fall, you went to the hospital, and you were in the hospital for a period of time, and you couldn't walk for a year.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, couldn't walk for a year, and then it's, hey, time to recover, right? Which is all I wanted. You know, if you can't use a muscle for a year, it becomes atrophied. I could at one point just both fingers and go like that through my calf. It just became jello, and then they just disappeared. But you know, the human body is amazing. I did recover very quickly, to be honest, with the use of opiates. The difference was, you know, with Adam, I'm walking like a 100-year-old man, and I take a few, and now it's almost like I'm fine, right?
So
now,
you started to get addicted to the opioids during your recovery when you were in the hospital?
No, I think it was fairly controlled at that point, and to be fair, they did warn me very well. You know, we're going to cut you off. As soon as you're out of here, that's it.
Right. So you grew a dependency in order to alleviate the pain. And then what happened after you were discharged from the hospital?
Went home. I think saw my family doctor. You know, asked for more pain medication. They said this is the last time, and we're going to cut you off. But after that, you know, the difference between me going to work every day and not being in pain, and you know, went somewhere else, which led me down a very dark road. And like I said, you pay for it later.
Right. So how soon after your injury did you return to work?
So pretty much as soon as I got on my feet, I said, guys, I want to come back.
Right.
Like I'm done. I need to work.
Yeah.
I need to get my mind off everything.
Yeah.
And I think it will help me recover, right?
Right. And you felt the pressure. You wanted to go back to work.
I didn't feel any pressure. They didn't pressure me. I just wanted to, right?
You wanted to go back to work.
I did.
But you weren't able to work, or, you know, you were working in pain.
So obviously I wasn't able to do my previous job anymore. They offered me to be the new health and safety coordinator, which is a little ironic. I laughed at first. I grew into it now. Obviously I've been doing it for a long time now. But yeah.
And as you were going through that situation and that personal trauma and recovery, how much support did you have from the industry?
So going back 10, 15 years, you know, there's a big difference in terms of stigma and my own personal willingness to share that anyway. Mm-hmm. I didn't see any way that it would be a positive,
Right.
but at the time, right? Now I see things a little bit differently.
So you felt at the time there was a stigma about your injury, or the stigma was associated with your opioid use?
With my opioid use.
And you
mental
didn't
health.
really feel like there was anyone you could talk to?
No. Perhaps there was. I just didn't. I wouldn't have saw it. I just would have saw it as a negative. No. No way would have been positive for me to tell them, "Hey, I got this problem. Can you help me?"
Right.
I'm sure they would have understood, but I just didn't see it that way at the time.
At the time, and so this was 13 years ago, has the industry changed around opioid addiction? Do you feel there's a change there? I think that there's more willingness for people to talk about it, more like it would be better received, and there'd be more supports offered. How do you feel the industry's progressed?
I think so. It's progressed quite well. You know, through union association, construction safety associations, just bringing awareness, getting rid of the stigma, and just, you know, bringing these programs, and not just having them on paper, actually implementing them, telling all the workers what they're about, and saying, hey, we have this now, you can talk about it. It can be anonymous or whatever it can be. but that's the first step. And again, I think we're going in the right direction.
And is your role now as a safety coordinator, which is vitally important to our industry and working for a contractor, what more needs to be done to help the industry deal with mental health and opioid use?
Without getting political, I think the first step is that person, like me personally, is they need to be in the right headspace, and they need to say, that's it, I'm done, I'm getting well.
Right.
Right? They need that. They need the support at home or some kind of personal support other than work. In terms of employers, there needs to be some kind of incentive for them to bring these programs forward.
Do you see in your experience a drive for workers who get injured to go back to work maybe a little bit too soon and rely on painkillers in order to go to work? Do you see that? Do you experience that?
So I can't say I personally see it. What I do see is that it's an epidemic. It's everywhere. So it doesn't have to be an extreme injury like mine. It could be, not even a workplace injury. You just hurt your back.
Right.
Like.
So what advice would you give to a worker who is using opioids right now? What advice would you say to them? What would you give them? How would you direct them?
It's a really good question, and every situation is going to be different. But just come up with a plan and implement it. Don't delay it, because like I said, every single pill that you're going to take, you're going to pay for it tenfold. Come up with a plan. So there's treatment plans that you can do. There's methadone and Suboxone. Methadone allows you to use the drugs while you're in treatment. Suboxone is the alternative, which is a lot better, is you can't use while you're on that. So I would do something like that, and it will allow you to continue working, and then through a doctor, they will slowly reduce it to a level where you can just stop.
And do you think the stigma is reducing? Do you think people are more willing to talk about this now than they were before? And that's part of the first step, is if you're struggling with an addiction, in this case it's opioids, but any kind of addiction, that, ask for help. And there's more help available now than there was before, and it's in a less judgmental environment?
I think so, especially with the younger generation. I think they're more willing to speak up and say, hey, I need help.
Right, and so what advice would you give to a younger worker who's experiencing this?
So through my role is just, if I orient someone, is tell them about these programs, right? And say, hey, if you have an issue, deal with it right away. Don't delay. It's not a problem you want to have. Right?
Okay. All right, and we heard Vicky's presentation here today, and there was lots of key takeaways from there. And she talked about stigma and fear of consequences for coming forward. Do you still think there's a fear of consequences?
I don't know if there's a fear of consequence or the feeling of just being judged by your peers in a negative light, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the consequence would be, but definitely you don't want your guys to think less of you.
Right.
For sure.
So it's important for us as construction leaders and union leaders to create that safe environment within our unions and on job sites for people to come forward and share their troubles, and we provide the appropriate kind of supports for them. And we've often talked to many of our union halls about, we're not trained to deal with this. Our job stewards aren't trained to deal with it. But we need to be able to refer these people to professionals that have been connected to the unions to get support. Do you think that sounds like a good plan, a good way to approach it?
That sounds like an amazing approach.
Right.
Yeah, everything Vicky brought up was absolutely amazing.
Okay.
And I'm proud of the way the industry is going, really.
Right, and your journey was quite a painful one, trauma, addiction, and obviously very difficult, but you were able to pull it together, and you even said yourself that you were in a very dark place, and you pulled it together and got through it. And what motivated you to do that? what was the turning point? What was the aha moment? What helped turn that around for you?
Well, for me, it was, you know, I was newly married, newborn, and I'm just looking at the way my life was going, and it was just not good, right? I need to turn this around. So the wife knew, basically said, we're dealing with this now, you know, and just went cold turkey.
You quit cold turkey.
Cold turkey.
Just like
that was
that.
the only approach. Doctors don't recommend you do that, apparently. I found out after. But I dealt with it and never looked back.
Well, Matt, I want to thank you very much for sharing your story with us and your advice and your insights on how to deal with this issue within the industry. And we thank you very much for your resilience and your determination to make a better life for yourself and for many other construction workers. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you for having me. You
Thanks,
guys have been
Matt.
great work.
Yeah, great.